Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandi. So you may know me from this channel because I like to make furniture flip videos, or you may be into my thrift haul reels that I've been doing recently. But today's video is obviously a little different. You saw the title of this video. Today I'm going to be talking about how I found out that I have diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. It's a rare type of lymphoma cancer, and I literally just found out last week. So I'm really a newbie to this whole cancer life, lymphoma life. So let's just dive right in. So if you haven't been following my channel recently, I did get engaged this past August. I'm planning to have my wedding next September 2023. And you know, I want to say around July or August of this year, 2022, I started having some weird symptoms, some bleeding in between periods. And also I had some pain when trying to use the restroom, like, urinate and things of that nature. Now, it wasn't like, the act of urinating didn't cause me pain. It was more so like it felt like my muscles wouldn't release and I couldn't empty my bladder fully. So I'd have to use the bathroom multiple times, and sometimes when I would try to push to use the restroom, it would hurt my muscles. Like my muscles would tense up and it felt like they were working against each other. Like I wanted to use the restroom, but also like it was holding itself in somehow. I don't know, it's hard to describe it, but if you've ever felt that feeling of like you've held it for a really long time and now you're trying to relax and use the restroom, that's basically how it felt. So that was happening, and this started back in late July, early August. And at first I thought the two issues were completely like separate, not related. And I originally thought because of the bathroom issue that I may have a UTI or some sort of infection or bacterial infection or something like that. So I was able to order or schedule myself a like self-swab bacterial panel, like testing panel, through my healthcare provider online, through their online scheduling system, without needing to see a doctor. So I did that. I did that in, I want to say early August is when I did it. All the results came back negative for everything that they tested me for. So after that happened, after I got my results back that were negative, I decided, the symptoms were still persisting. And so I decided to schedule an appointment with my general practitioner or my general doctor. So I did that, and I described, what was happening with me. And because of that, she decided to do an in-the-office pelvic exam, even though she's not an OBGYN or obstetrician gynecologist. So she did that. She did the pelvic exam. She took a look at my cervix, and I had a pap smear a couple years prior to this happening, and everything came back normal. So in the office, when I was meeting with my general practitioner, she said that, everything looked normal to her, and so that she would be referring me to an OBGYN. And that was at the end of September. So at that point, the OBGYN office that is in the same building as my GP, they were scheduled out a month in advance. So I wasn't able to make an appointment with them until like the very first week of November. So, and this would be like my first ever appointment with an OB in this particular location, because if you've really been subscribed to my channel for a little while, you'll know that at the top of the year I did move to a different location, and I changed offices and doctors because of that. So I was meeting the OB for the first time when I went into their office at the beginning of November, and again explained the whole thing. They had my electronic medical record, but of course they wanted to ask their own questions and get their own answers when I was seeing them in person. So we went through that whole thing again. Again, I had another pelvic exam. Unfortunately for me, at that time, I had just started my menstrual cycle, and I was actively menstruating during the appointment, but I had already waited a whole month to see this OB, and I didn't want to reschedule. So I was just like, I called the day before and I was like, hey, my menstrual cycle started, just FYI. Do I need to reschedule? Yes or no? They were like, no, it's fine. So I didn't, and I still went, and I'm really glad I did, because when I was in the OB office that day, my OB noticed that I had basically like a small tumor. I want to say above and to the left of my cervix. My cervix again looked fine. Everything else looked fine, but he did notice that. So he did attempt to do a biopsy on that small tumor that he could see. Now it was, painful for me. It wasn't extremely painful. I didn't need to like be on any medication, or I wasn't given any medication. It was just more so like uncomfortable, and the location of the tumor itself, or the mass itself, was kind of difficult to see. There's only so much that they could raise me and adjust me in the office that day. So he did the best he could, and he was able to get a sample of the tumor. And so, at that point, I had to wait for the results of the biopsy to see whether or not it was cancerous. And he suggested that while I waited for the results, he wanted me to get an ultrasound as well. So that was scheduled for like a week after my appointment. So that next week, I go in for my ultrasound. So if you've never had an ultrasound before, you have to drink a lot of fluids, and you can't use the restroom after a certain time. Up until you get into your appointment, because having water in your bladder just like helps them to be able to see things better. So I was drinking my water, and I got to the appointment, and I really had to go, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like gonna pee on the freaking bed or something, but I didn't. So I'm getting the ultrasound done, and they're like pushing the little thing with the little like gel or whatever, like basically exactly how you see it in the movies. And for the ultrasound, they do half and half. So the first portion they do before you use the restroom, while you still have the fluids in your bladder, and then they allow you to use the restroom, and then they do a second portion. At least that's how it went for me. So it came to the point where I was allowed to use the restroom, and I did. And that, I want to say that took about a half an hour for me to use the restroom, because I had to use the restroom like 3 times in a row, just because I had been holding it for hours in order to do this appointment. And it was so hard for me to release it, and it was hurting a little bit. Again, with the muscle things, like it felt like I was pushing and it was holding, like my muscles were holding. So I was like pushing against my own muscles, and it was kind of painful. So, the technician was like, once I finally was able to, lay down comfortably and not feel uncomfortable, like I still needed to pee really badly, the technician asked me about it. She asked how long that had been going on, and how often it happened, and things of that nature. And, we finished the appointment, and that was it. So a few days after that, I did get a call from my OB, and he let me know that the results came in from my biopsy that he did in the office, and it was non-cancerous. So I was really happy about that. At that time, he told me, based on what we were able to see and with the ultrasound, it appears to be a fibroid, which is a non-cancerous tumor. And he explained what it is, and that they can be surgically removed, and the one that I have or had, it would need to be, just due to its size. It was about 7 centimeters in length and 6 centimeters in width. So, and he described the size of it as like the size of a large lemon. So he said that would need to be removed, and that he would have the OB surgical unit call me to schedule an appointment for surgery. Okay, so that was the mid to end, it was between the middle of the month and the end of November. Okay, so then like later in that day, it was within the same day, later that day, I get another call from, like you said, the OB surgical unit. They scheduled my surgery for December 8th. They weren't able to tell me the time or anything about the surgery. They told me that the surgeon would call me a couple of days before the surgery to give me all the details and tell me the time I needed to be there and all the things like that. Just because of how surgeries are scheduled, it just depends like what time you're able to come in, depending on other surgeries that had to get done or whatever. So I was like, okay, so I was basically relaxing until December 6th. December 6th, I get a call from the surgeon. And she was describing to me, you know, what the surgery would be, how long it would take, things of that nature. And as she was talking, I was getting a little confused because she was talking about, you know, the mass and finding out what it is and whatnot. And I stopped her for a moment and I said, I'm sorry, I thought that, you know, this surgery was to be like a complete removal of a fibroid. And at that point was the point where she broke the news to me that actually the biopsy that I had in early November, it turned out to be, the sample that they took turned out to be only a sample of the vaginal wall and not the mass itself. So we were kind of back to square one of, you know, trying to figure out what this mass is and could it be cancerous or not. And so that would be the goal of the surgery. So I mean, I can't lie, I was a little disappointed, even though I understood, you know, that the situation wasn't ideal at the time for my OB in the office to do the surgery, or not the surgery, I'm sorry, to do the biopsy and get the correct specimen. I understood that it was like an awkward angle on an awkward like placement and things like that, because as they were doing it in the office, it was uncomfortable for me to get through it. It wasn't like unbearable, but it was, you know, a bit more than a little uncomfortable. So, you know, I accepted that, you know, happily, and, you know, just went ahead into the surgery with, you know, high hopes that everything would turn out fine. So surgery day comes, December 8th comes, and I do the surgery. It only takes an hour. I had to be under anesthesia, which was super helpful because it was like I didn't feel anything. My fiance took care of me for the post-op. I had time off of work. I had plenty of time to recover. There was a bit of uncomfortableness, but I just, you know, took over-the-counter pain medication. There was no incision, so there were no stitches or anything like that, so recovery was fairly simple. So after that surgery on December 8th, I waited, I want to say 12 days to hear the results. And that was kind of hard because the more days passed, the more I became a little bit more anxious to know the results. Thankfully, my father did have in his plans already, like a year prior, to come visit me during that time. And it just worked out that like while I was recovering, that was the time that my dad had planned to come visit me. So it kind of kept my mind off of things. But then once he went back home, I had a couple more days before I had to go to work. And then I was home alone, just, you know, trying to distract myself, doing different things, but also like having that in the back of my mind, wondering when I would get my results, what they would say and whatnot. So Monday rolls around, the first Monday that I have to go back to work. And that is Monday, December 19th. And I go to work, everything's fine. Everyone's asking me, not everyone, but, you know, a couple people who I had told that I would be having this procedure were asking me, you know, how did it go? How are you feeling? Yada, yada. You know, I told them, oh, I'm feeling good. You know, I've recovered well, just waiting on results. You know, then we'll see what happens from there. We'll take things from there. The next day comes, and this day we're planning to have the office holiday party. So, you know, I'm in good spirits. I'm getting myself ready to go. We had, you know, a white elephant sort of gift exchange thing going. So I was getting my gifts ready and, you know, getting myself dressed up for the holidays, whatnot, getting ready to head out the door. And I get a call from my surgeon. You know, she says, how are you doing? Are you working right now? Where are you? I tell her, you know, I'm working from home. I'm working, but I'm working from home. So I'm at home, you know, I'm doing good, feeling good. And that's when she breaks the news to me. Unfortunately, you have been diagnosed with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. And, you know, she explains that I would be referred to oncology and hematology department in order to have more tests done to determine the staging and the prognosis and whatnot. And I would have to do more tests, do some blood work and whatnot in order to determine that. She did offer to send me some resources for like patient education about the type of lymphoma that I have. And then that was basically our conversation. I was furiously writing down notes. I barely processed anything. She was asking me like, did I have any questions? And as she was talking, I was literally Googling what to ask your doctor when you're diagnosed with cancer. I was totally like in shock. Didn't know how to react. Barely had any reaction at all. And then when I hung up the phone with her, I called my fiance and I told him everything. And, that was a hard conversation to have. It was definitely hard for him to go back to work after that. But I didn't want to hold it in and not tell him. And I think he would have wanted me to tell him. Like if I hadn't told him, he probably wouldn't have been that happy about it. He would have wanted to be there for me, comfort me and whatnot. So I went ahead and told him. He did end up leaving work that day at lunchtime. So he worked a half day and then came home. So that was that. I did end up just going to my work party, my work holiday party. In my conversation with my fiance, I told him, I just want to have a happy, regular next couple of hours, rest of the day, and just figure things out later. I was just like, basically not really in denial. Like I knew I had, I hadn't really accepted it. Like I accepted how do I put this? I had accepted that what the doctor had told me was the truth, but it hadn't sunk in yet and really hit me. So I was kind of in denial in the sense that I just wanted to forget about it for now, push it back to the back burner and deal with it later. So that's what I did, and I had a good time at the party. And after the party though, I did let my supervisor know, and I let my coworker know, who's like my best friend coworker. So I let them know. They were going to be on vacation anyways, and plus I didn't know like what was going to happen, if I was going to like have to be out of office for like the next couple of weeks or a couple of days. I didn't know when I would see them again or be able to talk to them again. So I just let them know before they left for vacation, which I kind of apologized for, but still they were like, it's fine. Like, I'm glad you told me. So anyways, so that was December 20th when I found out. Again, it's like literally 5 days before Christmas. The rest of the week was like kind of a blur. The rest of the day after the work party, my boss let me go home for the day. I did get a call from my cancer care nurse, this nurse that was assigned to me as my cancer care nurse. She told me I needed to get blood work done. I needed a PET scan and a MUGA scan. So I went immediately, as soon as I hung up the phone with her, I went immediately to the nearest lab for my healthcare provider, and I got my blood work done. And I was like full on crying at that point, not even like sobbing or anything, just like silent tears, just like rolling down my face at that point, because it was sinking in. And then a couple days later, like on a Thursday or something, on Wednesday, I think that would be the 21st, right? So on the 21st, the very next day, I got a call saying, hey, another patient canceled their appointment for tomorrow for a PET scan. So if you want it, it's yours. So that Thursday, I got into the office. I went into the office for my PET scan, and then my MUGA scan was scheduled for the following Tuesday. So everything was happening like back to back to back, which kind of helped me in a way, because it gave me something to do, instead of just, sitting there like thinking and wondering and whatnot. Obviously, I called my parents, and I called my parents. We called my fiance's parents and told them the whole story. My parents had been informed a little bit along the way, along the journey, of me trying to figure out what was going on. So they already kind of knew. They just, were waiting for the news. My fiance's parents, on the other hand, they didn't know as much as my parents did, just because it's kind of personal and I didn't really know what was going on. So I didn't really think, we didn't really think that it would be anything serious. We were just kind of like, what is this? So that was that. And then as the days went on, like the very next day, after the first day I learned, I told some friends, like close friends. And yeah, after that, I've just been trying to stay positive, not think about things too much, like not go down like the rabbit hole of thinking about things, because it's very easy to do. And obviously with the holidays, Christmas, and then New Year's coming up, it's easy to be distracted by holiday stuff. So we went to see Christmas lights, we went to the beach, to watch the sunset. We've been doing so many things to just like get out of the house and do like fun things, make memories, take lots of pictures. So that's what I've been doing. At this point, the day I'm filming this, I've done all of my blood work and all of my scans. I do have the results in my app that my healthcare provider has an app where they can send you like test results and appointment reminders and things like that. So I have all of my test results from both of my scans and my blood work. I did look at my blood work results, but it's kind of like, I don't know what any of these numbers mean. Like, it tells you what range you should be in, or like what range is the average. So that's pretty much all I was able to interpret from that information. But my scans, I have not looked at all, just because, again, trying to stay positive and not, come to my own conclusions of what I think might happen or what I think the results mean, and just wait until my appointment with my oncologist. I don't meet with my oncologist until the 5th of January in the new year. So until then, I'm just going to be trying to stay positive. I did want to make this video for anybody else who's been diagnosed with this type of cancer. I did some like searching online and on YouTube to see if there were any other individuals who were around my age that have this cancer. I wasn't able to find many. I did find a really good resource for people who are going through the treatments for breast cancer. Marina Rutford, I believe her name is. She has really good videos about like the chemo treatments and what she wished she knew before she started chemo. I've been watching those videos. It's been really helpful to me to kind of like game plan. I'm a very like plan oriented person. So I've been really enjoying that, and I hope to be that person for anyone going through DLBL, which stands for Diffuse Large B-Cell Lymphoma. If you had this cancer before in your life and you survived it, or you're going through it right now, please comment below. Give me questions that I should ask my oncologist when I meet them next week. Give me tips for your first day of chemo. Give me everything that you can think of. I just want to use this as a platform to build community and build love and build trust. So that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. The lighting is changing because the sun is setting. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll try to keep you as updated as I can. I don't know how much energy I will have once I start chemo, pending if that's the route that my care team thinks is best for me. But I, of course, will try to keep you as updated as I can, and I'll try to help as much as I can as well. Thanks for watching.